Hey, everybody, welcome back to a Courage to Change podcast. My name is Christina Anderson. I'm the Vice President of Courage to Change Recovery Services. And today we have Dane Easton in studio to talk about his story and how he got to his place of sobriety. So, hi, Dane.
Hello.
Yeah, so tell us how long do you have sober and a little bit about your story.
Today I have 51 days sober.
Nice.
You want me to start from the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. I started using when I was like 12. Um, it's pretty much just kind of, I don't know. I just always grew up. My dad left when I was like 2, and my mom had I don't want to say numerous guys, but not very friendly guys in her life. And yeah, so I just started using, and it wasn't it wasn't so much to really fit in. It was more so just it made me I don't want to say even feel something. It was just to do something. Like uh
An escape.
yeah. Or I don't even say probably more just a safety netting, because I know I remember always being high and not nothing would affect me at all. Like and I never really got into drinking because I was already doing drugs. So when I was in high school, I made it a point, I would always let kids that you could come to for drugs. I would go to parties and be I remember being at parties and being the only person that was high. And even at keggers and stuff. And I got kicked out of a couple parties because they were just people were drinking and they're oh drugs, which is looking back at it, it it was weird because now, as an adult, if you have drugs in the drug scene, everybody wants you around. Getting kicked out of parties. I remember one time I got jumped, um, and I had to beg one of my friends to give me a ride home. And I remember getting back to my mom's house, and my mom was standing on the porch, and uh, I was always really honest with her when I was using. I didn't want her to be one of those parents that got a phone call your kid's in jail from drugs or your kid's in the hospital. I wasn't blatant with her, I'm going out to do coke. I would say code phrases, and we had talked about it before. 'Cause she didn't want to hear that I was yeah, I'm going out to do coke.
Did she know?
Yeah, yeah, she knew. I just wouldn't say stuff oh, I'm going out with so and so to do coke. I would say stuff yeah, me and so and so are going snowboarding, and it's the middle of July, stuff like that. No, and she didn't approve of it either. I don't want to get mixed up. But
You were kind of protecting her from your shenanigans, or
yes, and I didn't feel comfortable being hey mom, I'm going out to do coke, or mom, I'm going out to do pills or whatever I was doing. And that worked. And I remember sophomore year my mom would leave on the weekends. And so I would fluctuate between my house and my buddy's house, and we would throw parties every weekend. And my mom was gone all weekend, so I mean the house was clean before she got back, so she never knew. Um And my sister was always off. I don't even remember what she was doing. She was always off at her friend's house and stuff, and she never got into drugs. That's but she's a drinker. So
so you started using at 12. What grade is that?
7th grade.
Seventh grade.
Yeah,
And how old are you now?
36.
36. I'm not like at math. That's what, 24 years?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
So fast forward, you were living at home and in active addiction at a young age. Your mom was kind of a don't ask, don't tell situation. How did it progress to you becoming homeless?
So uh, like I said, my dad left when I was 2. My mom had a couple boyfriends and stuff, and she married this guy, and right off the bat, me and him didn't get along at all. He was extremely physically abusive to me, and he would the one thing that really sticks out to me. is I was working for him, and like I was getting paid $5 an hour, and I would go to him with these job sites, and like him and his coworkers would like throw like shook up beers at me and stuff, and like I'd just walk around and pick up trash. And my best friend at the time, he passed away. Uh, his dad had heard about it from my best friend, and he offered me a job with him and my best friend painting houses. And when I told him about like the work I was doing and how I was getting treated, he's like, dude, come work with me. We paint houses. He's like, I'll start you out $25 an hour, which like I'll go from 5 to 25, and going from working 16-hour days, getting treated like shit to you know an 8-hour day Monday through Friday. I was like, sweet. And so I remember I wrote a note and I left it on the table and I told him like, hey, I'm not going to work with you tomorrow. And him and my mom had been out at the bar, and he ended up coming home. Him and my mom, he read the note. He like yanked. I was asleep on the couch. He yanked me off the couch, and we got in each other's faces. And my mom got in between us, and I like scooted my mom out of the way, and he shoved me. And then my mom started screaming at him, told me to go to my room. So I go into my room, and I remember hearing him and my mom start fighting. And I looked down the hallway, and my mom steps back from their door, and a TV hits the door. And I just started screaming all kinds of stuff at him. And he ends up like throwing me through a window. Um, and like I got all cut up. I remember going through the window and it being like the Matrix, like hitting the window and everything just slows down like in the bullet scene in the Matrix. And I got up and I can hear him and my mom arguing and stuff. And I go up to the door and I start mouthing off at him again. He comes out and grabs me by my throat and throws me off the porch. And I hit the pavement. And he comes down and he's a big dude. Puts one knee on each one of my shoulders and grabs me by my throat. And I thought he was gonna kill me. I just remember getting tunnel vision. And then my mom comes out of nowhere and grabs him by his throat and throws him off me. And I end up blacking out. I wake up in an ambulance. I'm handcuffed to the gurney. I have a King County sheriff telling me that I'm going to jail for destruction of private property, domestic violence, because he told the cop that I pushed my mom out of the way when I didn't push her. I just kind of grabbed her and scooted her out of the way because I thought me and him were going to get physical. And where we were living at the time, my mom worked at City Hall. My grandpa had been on City Council, and the chief of police showed up. And he seen me, and obviously my stepdad didn't have anything. You know, what I mean, I was all cut up, all bruised up. And I told him what happened, and he ends up uncuffing me from the gurney and telling me like, no, you're not, you don't got anything to worry about. It's your stepdad's going to jail. And so when I end up refusing to go to the hospital, they take my stepdad to jail. My mom tells me, you don't have to worry about him. He's gone. And so I stayed at the house after that for 3 days. And I remember being downtown and I see my mom driving through town and I see him in the passenger seat. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? So I call her. And she tells me he wants to talk to me. He wants to apologize. And immediately I'm like, nope, forget that. I'm going to grab my stuff. Uh, and so I go back to the house. He's like trying to apologize to me, and he like grabs me by my shirt, and he's like, you need to be respectful when you talk to me. And I just slapped his hand away, and I was like, you're not my dad. I don't care about you. Like, all this stuff. It's like I'm leaving. Go pack up some clothes, and this is probably like one of my earliest regrets from using. So we had a family reunion like 2 weeks after that. And I show up at my mom's house getting ready to go to this family reunion, and my mom tells me, like, I'm not invited. She takes my stepdad. So I wait about an hour, and I was staying at my friend's house. And I go back down to my mom's house, and I'm like walking around the house, and I realize, like, they had boarded up the window, and the window right next to it was unlocked. And I climbed in there, and they were at a family reunion for like a week, and I threw a razor at the house. Just tore the whole house up. We had a dirt bike and that like just like blatantly disrespectful stuff that I shouldn't have done, but I wasn't in the right mindset. And my mom came home early, and so it like pretty much she was like obviously upset. My sister was really upset. I don't even remember how my stepdad reacted because I pretty much have like blacked out my memory of him after that whole incident and throwing me through the window. Uh, and at that point, like I pretty much got the impression that my mom didn't want me around. I know now that's not the case. I've talked to her about it, and doesn't mean I don't feel bad about it. But so after that point, I moved in with one of my friends whose mom. She like came down to the house. We were partying and like made sure we had food and all this kind of stuff. She offered for me to come stay with her, and a couple months later, it was like Christmas, and me and her got into an argument. And she basically like was telling me like my mom didn't want me around. That's why I was staying there. And like just all this like really disrespectful stuff that like I didn't want to hear somebody else say that stuff about my mom. So I ended up leaving. And at that point, I was pretty much homeless at that point. I had like couch hopped a little bit, and then I was still like trying to do the school thing. Um, but I ended up getting expelled when I was like 17, and so I went down to the recruiter's office. I went into the army. Um, that it didn't end badly. I didn't get disarmed or discharged or anything. It's not something I really want to go into right now. But yeah, it wasn't a disarmed or discharged or anything like that. It's just not something I'm comfortable talking about. Um, and then after that, about a month after I got back, my best friend Jordan, just right before he passed away, he came over to where I was staying. He had some heroin, and so I like tried smoking with him, and he was shooting up, and I just was like, dude, this tastes like shit. Like I don't want to, you know what I mean? And but I'd been like doing oxy 80s and stuff like that. So about a month after that, he overdosed, and he overdosed in his driveway when his parents found him. And for some reason, being the addict mentality, uh, I was like, well, what was so good about it, you know? And then I tried shooting up heroin, and it was like I was off to the races. Uh, it was immediately like um, it was like the best feeling in the world. Um, and I think it was more so like actually, back then I thought it was the best feeling in the world. I realized it just kind of was like I felt like I don't want to say numb, but it like gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling. That's like the easiest way I can think of describing it. And then I pretty much have been homeless ever since then. I tried to get clean a couple times. I white knuckled it for a little bit. I'd been in and out of treatment. But other than that, yeah, I pretty much have been homeless up until now. Like obviously not like staying in trap houses and stuff like that, but
You weren't?
no, I was like bouncing between trap houses, but I never like I try not to stay at the same place too often. So a lot of time I'd like have a tent set up and stuff like that. But this is like the first time I've actually like gotten out of treatment and like like I go to bed every night, I look at the roof and I'm like I have a roof over my head. That's something like I've never done that before. Even like getting out of treatment before, it was not something that I didn't have the mentality. I didn't really want it. I was just tired of being dope sick. Whereas like this time, I really want it.
Do you think that preventing being dope sick was one of the main reasons that you continued to use and be homeless? Like, was that part of the cycle?
Um, I mean, I feel like when it comes to opiates, even though like the first drug I ever did was meth, a lot of people say weed's a gateway drug. For me, it was meth. Uh, and that was like the very first drug I used. I tried drinking and stuff, and it just never like I don't looking back at it, I feel like kind of dumb thinking about it because it's like I didn't like drinking alcohol because I didn't like waking up hungover, but I would do opiates and had no problem waking up dope sick, and I just like it never really registered. Um, but I think it was more so like at least it was more so like the lifestyle. Obviously the drugs, like the physical dependency and stuff from opiates. But it was I don't know, looking at it now, having been sober for a little bit of time, and like I think about it a lot. Uh, the drug use, yes, obviously, because like I said, you know, the physical addiction, but it was a lifestyle. And like it asked me now, like, what was so good about it? I can't think of anything good about it. It was just like in the mix at the time.
Were you ever holding a sign on the side of the road? Like, were you that guy?
No, after I got out of the army, I pretty much just like started robbing trap houses and dope dealers. And after that, it was either selling dope or like my own dope or on a front from somebody selling dope. Like I tried. I think over the past year, I tried to fly a sign a couple times, and
Tried
it
to what?
fly a sign.
Fly a
Yeah.
sign. Yes.
And it just never worked out. So like I would just go get somebody to front me dope, and it was just easier for me to do that. Like it was not profitable. Like I couldn't even get well doing it. So I was like, why do I do this when I know I can go get somebody to front me some dope and I can solve that problem and make a little bit of money.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, and I would after I got out of the army, that was immediately in my head that I always want to be selling dope or have some dope somehow. Because it's easier. I didn't want to have to be out there flying a sign doing stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it when I got out of the army, it was I didn't feel bad about like robbing dealers and like getting crap out of the people, but like that didn't last very long. Like I had like a guilty conscience about it. Like I felt bad, a lot of people don't. And so I only did that for like 2 or 3 years. But it's like uh I remember like the last time I did it, we would have like friends of ours, females that used, and they would go into houses, and like we would have like preordained like phrases and stuff that we could text, so we know how many people are in the house, like that kind of stuff. And we just go in there and just zip tie people. And one thing was like no kids. That's one thing I never wanted to deal with. And the last time I did it, I remember going in there and we were clearing this house, and it was this dude and his girlfriend, and there wasn't supposed to be any kids in there. And I go downstairs and I open this door, and like we're all ski masked up, just looking like goons. And I open the door and there's these two little girls sitting there, and they just look over me and doesn't even like they don't even flinch or anything. And I just closed the door, and I knew right then I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I got to figure something else out. And so then that's when I kind of switched over to just trying to be something. And like I've gotten robbed, I've gotten jumped, all that stuff. I got hogtied and thrown in a trunk. I thought I was gonna die. Um, but I still thinking about it, like I would way rather go that route than not only jeopardize myself with like the people that I was robbing houses with, but seeing something like that, just seeing those two little girls sitting there, like I still like to this day I can see their faces clear as day, and like it just like it makes me sick thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. And so, were you doing fentanyl at that time?
I actually didn't start doing Fetty until like probably like 3 or 4 years ago. It was mainly like I did it when opiate or not opiates when oxy 80s were around. I did those for a while. But I always fell back on heroin. And then I didn't start doing Fetty till the past couple of years because
Because heroin was harder to find,
yeah, and when I did find it, it was always garbage.
mixed
Like
with other things.
yeah, or like it just wouldn't get me high. Like, and I remember like the last time I really did heroin was when I was living down in Arizona. And at first when I was down there, I was clean for like 8 months, and then uh, I went to an AA meeting, and this is the first time I ever heard this too. Was I went in there and said, yeah, my name's Dane, I'm an addict, and this guy was over me. He goes, you're not welcome here. And like, and I'd been to meetings before, but I never had anybody tell me that. And my logic was, okay, I'm gonna go out and find some dope, which is like that's outrageous. And but I didn't start doing Fetty until I came back up here, which was like a couple years ago. And from the first time I did Fetty, like
This is the powder.
yeah, because I did Fetty before I ever did blues, and it was like I I did Fetty just because it was the opiate. You know what I mean? Like I remember if I could have, I would have gone back to heroin, but I just Fetty was just what I mean. It swamped the market, and
How
it was just
much comparatively price wise? Like, what's the difference there? Is it a lot less expensive?
down in Arizona. Uh, the price I thought the heroin was cheaper down there, but Fetty was more expensive for some reason. That might have just been the time frame.
What about in Washington State?
When I came back up here, I couldn't find heroin. I've only seen heroin a couple times since in the past couple years, and
Interesting.
yeah, and it was just not like not even worth it. Like I got to sample it, and I was like, I don't even want to know how much this costs. Like I'm not gonna buy it. It's not.
Yeah.
And then the Fetty is like, I mean, it fluctuates so much, but I've seen like I've gotten out of treatment uh with people and seen like people take like one hit of Fetty and just drop, and it's like that's
Dead?
like yeah, like that's like it's like one of the biggest things that scares me about like not really scares me about getting clean this time because like I want to be clean, but it's like I've seen it happen so many times where like somebody will get out of treatment or get out of jail even if it's just for like a week or 2 weeks, and then take one hit of Fetty and they're dead.
because of their tolerance is lessened.
Yeah, and it's like I
So
could.
how long does it take somebody to have a tolerance? Like, well, I guess it depends on the person, right? Like how much they've used in the past.
Yeah,
But let's say you're a meth person and a regular opiate person, and you try Fetty for the first time. Like, is it
I've seen people overdose. People that only did
so they
did
think they have a
Percocet or
tolerance, but then they try
yeah,
it and they just
and
don't.
because at least in my experience, like people that do blues, that's one thing, especially like you were saying, people that do stimulants and any not just meth, but any kind of like stimulants, and are doing blues and think, oh, I can just smoke Fetty. Like I've seen people take 1, 2 hits off that and overdose.
And Narcan, does that work?
Um, I don't want to say that it doesn't. I think that the IV Narcan works the best for any kind of opiate overdose.
Is it true
But
that they have to hit them like a couple of times with it? Like it takes more than what it
so
would for heroin?
from what I know about Narcan, or at least I don't, and I haven't done research on this. It's just something that like I've kind of picked up. That uh, when they get hit with Narcan, this is personally why like I always try to carry like some IV Narcan on me, is because I've seen that stuff. Somebody like blue in the face on the pavement and they try to hit him with the needle Narcan, they'll hit him 2, 3 times and it doesn't do anything. And then you hit him with the IV Narcan. I've seen people sit straight up from being blue in the face.
Wow.
And like I remember specifically there's this one girl, she had gotten out of jail. I was just walking up by the jail and I could tell she was dope sick, and I was selling dope at the time, and she asked me, and I was like, well, I was like, I can't just give, and she offered me her phone. I was like, okay, yeah, I'll hook you up with something. And we got on the bus stop, and I'm like, after seeing this, I like kind of made it a point, like I didn't like selling people that I didn't know, or like just random strangers, because like I've thought about this a lot when I was in treatment. Um, And I'm sure it's probably happened that where I sold somebody dope and then that I didn't know to some random friend and they walked off and probably overdosed like that. Like it kind of eats at me. And that's something like I'm working on my 4 step right now and I have to put that in there. And it's like I can't put a name to it. Like just thinking about it, like it just uh, it messes with me. But overall, I think that the nasal Narcan can work. But if I had to choose between the two of them, I would go with the IV Narcan just because I've seen it work. Like
Do you know that the users on the street, do they carry Narcan?
I know some people that do, but like I know, like was, I consider it a blessing looking back at it. Like I've never overdosed on Fetty. I overdosed on heroin one time, and I just remember my friend just slapping the shit out of me and throwing cold water in my face, and then I sat up and he said he didn't hit me with Narcan, but I just remember being sick to my stomach and puking my guts out right after that. And I know a lot of people aren't like they're not. Um, some people don't have that luxury, like my best friend, for example. I know he never overdosed, and like when he did overdose, people that were with him left him in his car, and his parents found him the next day. And I remember for like years after that, I had told myself like, yeah, like I see those people, like I'm gonna go to prison. And as luck would have it, 2 of those people did end up going to prison. Not that I wish that upon anybody, but like every action has a reaction, and like I could never imagine, even if I didn't see somebody like the first week that I stayed here, I was coming back from a meeting and I seen some dude overdosing on the sidewalk, and I didn't have any Narcan on me, and I just did the chest rub, and I was like smacked him in his face, and he like came to, and the person came out of my office, you didn't call 911, right? I'm like, no. He's like, you didn't hit me with Narcan? I'm like, no. And he just like got up and dipped, and I'm like, okay. And like it if I if I didn't want to be as clean, or like if I didn't want to be clean like I do now, like I would give up anything for it. When that person left, like I seen their foil and stuff like that there, and I just left it there. Not that I was like worried about picking it up and being like, oh, I can get high. It's just like I know what it's like to see somebody overdose and then like get their stuff taken from them, and like that stuff can, I don't know, like I just didn't feel comfortable doing that. But I think that more people need to carry Narcan, and I think that a lot of people that do carry it don't know how to use it properly. Like the IV Narcan, I've seen people you grab that and they just like pretty much just fill the rig up, and it's you don't even need that. It's like it literally says on the directions, like I think it's zero point 0.5 milliliter or something like that, or like 1 milliliter. I don't remember exactly, but it's not that much. And I've seen people fill them all the way up and then hit somebody with them, and like the only like the people obviously resuscitated, but like that's um, I feel like that's provokes people more to like because like if somebody's overdosing and comes to me with Narcan, I know most addicts, at least in my experience, are gonna go out and try and get high, or they're gonna try and keep it. And if you, I feel like if you do something like that, like it will put them into like, you know, what I mean, like they got to get as much dope in their system as possible, and like not realize like the effects of that. You know, because if you throw a bunch of dope in your system, eventually you can get enough dope in your system to overdo that,
So
and
you're
then it's not going
saying
to do anything.
because of the mentality of the addict, that it's actually dangerous to over Narcan someone because their first instinct is because they're dope sick to go and get high again,
Yeah,
but they would need to induce or ingest more drugs.
than they might normally do. Yeah,
Oh
and
my
I believe
goodness.
that
So this is why we need the addicts to educate people in the community because, that would have never occurred to me. And in that moment of panic, if I am trying to save a life, the last thing I'm going to do is put on my glasses and try to read the directions.
yeah,
I'm just fumbling and I'm just grabbing and, doing as much as I can as quickly as possible. That's insane.
yeah.
That whole lifestyle just sounds really scary.
And because
Um,
I've seen people overdose and like actually use the right amount and seen them come to, and it's like, and I've seen them turn around and go use, but they're not like they don't come to dope sick. Where if
oh,
like you know what I mean, like to where they,
right, right.
you know what I mean, like I feel like they just went and like took a couple hits, and I've seen it. Like I was just saying, you know, what I mean, where
Yeah.
people just have a whole syringe will hit somebody and they come out, and it looks like they're like on day three dope sick, like puking, that kind of
So
stuff.
for the non-addicts or people in this world that we're talking to, maybe explain. So like our neural pathways have like the opiate receptors on them,
Mhm.
and the Narcan comes in and just blasts it all off, like just
Yeah,
wipes it clean. And so it's like the worst withdrawals you could ever experience in an instant, which is why the people sometimes can get really angry when they get Narcan.
yeah,
They come out because they are like you said that it's almost like they're on day three of yeah,
yeah.
it's wild.
That's and I don't think like a lot of people realize that. Like I remember right before I got into treatment, I was right up on Fourth Ave, and there was this dude I'd been talking to him, and he was nodding out, but he wasn't overdosing or falling out. And like I remember this girl, I don't remember if she came out of a car or where she came from, but she came over and she was like freaking out, and like I had been sitting there talking to the dude, and he was like nodding out and stuff, but I knew he was okay. And she comes over and she's got like a whole handful of nasal Narcans, and then she's got a IV Narcan. And she's like telling me like to yank this dude off the bench and stuff. And I'm like, yo, I'm like, he's not overdosing. She's like, oh, look at him. He's falling out. Da, da, da. And I'm like, no, he's not. And like, I started arguing with her, and I'm like telling the dude, like, hey, bro, you should probably get up, walk. She's like, I already called 911. Da, da, da. And then I turned around and I was trying to grab a bottle of water out of my bag, and I turned around and she just hit him with an Narcan, and he just stands straight up and shoves her, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? She's like, you were overdosing. And he's like, no, I wasn't. This guy was just sitting there telling you I wasn't overdosing. And then they start
So he
arguing.
was conscious when he was
Yeah, he
high.
was just sitting there nodding out, and I'd been talking to him, and she wasn't listening to me at all. She just assumed he was overdosing, and then when I turned around, and like you're supposed to like you don't want to like shove a rig through somebody's clothes if you can get caught in it and get cotton fever.
Mm.
And she like I turn around and she's like this in his leg, and I'm
Was this
like,
a good Samaritan walking by that was happening upon the scene, or what?
I mean, I had been sitting there talking to dude for probably like 10, 15 minutes, and the whole time he was just doing this while he's talking to me, so it's like I knew he was
No,
okay.
the woman that's
Oh, I don't know if she pulled in the gas station or if she was even like working at the little stand there or not, but if she just came up out of nowhere and like it just it escalated very quickly, and then like as soon as she hit him with the Narcan, and he stood up, I could see as soon as he stood up, like I was like, oh, this dude's gonna put hands on her. So like I kind of stepped in between him and was like, hey, bro, just go, just call 911. And he's like, oh, you fucking dumb bitch.
So, I mean, I guess we all want to be good Samaritans, but maybe we need to do it wisely. Is this what we're
Yeah,
saying?
because like
And I mean, I don't care about fucking up anybody's high. That's the last thing I'm worried about.
I just want to make sure people
Um,
are okay.
right, right, right. But I guess there's, medical reasons that we do what we do. So, what was it about this particular moment in your life that you decided to really go for your sobriety now?
Uh, Christmas of this last year, I was sitting in a trap house, and I remember sitting there, and I'm like, I was super dope sick, and somebody comes up to me and hands me a bag of dope and goes, "Merry Christmas." Like as soon as they said that, I remember it instantly got in my head, and I'm like thinking, like seriously, like I'm sitting, like I don't even get to see my family on the holidays, and somebody just gave me a bag of dope for Christmas, and I'm like, and from then until New Year's, like I just could not get it out of my head, and I'm like, this is a fucking joke. Like I have nothing. Like there's nothing. Like I literally have nothing. I have a tent in the middle of the woods. I have some clothes and the clothes on my back, and I have a phone. And I had really been struggling. And I just remember on New Year's, I remember seeing all the fireworks and stuff, and I just told myself, like, I don't care if I have dope tomorrow. I don't care if I'm dope sick. Like I'm going to detox. And so I went over to Hope and Wellness, and I got there like 5 minutes before they closed. And I remember talking to somebody in there. And I just told her like she'd seen me. I'd been in and out of there, and I told her like, "Yo, I want to go to detox." I was like, "I'm ready. Like, I need to do something different." Like that's pretty much like my New Year's resolution. I remember being in detox, and I kept seeing this sign in my room, and it said, "Pick a date and keep it." And I know like the first 3 days I was there, I was like refusing meds. I just wanted to sleep and stuff, and then they hit me with Narcan, or not Narcan, the Subutex, and I just slept. And I remember coming and taking vitals and stuff, and then um, the last day that I was there, I think I spent 8 days there. Um, I knew about like Vivitrol and stuff like that, and I'd been thinking about that before I like even got to detox. I think I want to try and get the Vivitrol shot, but you have to have 2 weeks clean without anything in your system. And I remember telling myself like I don't know if I can get 2 weeks clean. Like I couldn't remember the last time I had that much time clean. And so I dosed the night before they're gonna release me, and I signed up to go to Holman, and I remember I'm walking out, and I'm in the nurse's station, and they're like discharging me, and right before I'm about to go out the door, I don't know if it was a nurse or one of the staff members comes over, and she goes, and I don't even remember volunteering for this or anything like I was so she asked me if I wanted my supplicate shot before I go, and I'm like, uh, yeah, sure, and I was already dosing because I had dosed the night before, and like if anybody who doesn't know, like when you get on the Suboxone or Subutex, like it's like a maintenance thing, you know what I mean? So like if you are taking it and then you just stop, like you're gonna have withdrawal from it. Like that's I don't know like the science behind it, but I just know like having taken it myself and been on it for a extended period of time, even though I was just on it for those couple days. Um, I remember I dosed like 10 o'clock the night before, and I was up at 7 in the morning, and I was already feeling dope sick. And they asked me about the Sublocade shot, so I went and got it. And I'm like thinking I'm going in there to like get the shot in my arm or something. And she has me lay down. She's like, pull up your shirt. And I'm like, what? She's like, oh yeah, let's do this in your stomach. And I'm like, uh, like don't have any meat on my bones or anything. I'm like, you're joking, right? And she's like, no. She's like, yeah, you don't have like a lot of meat on your bones. And I'm like, it's gonna hurt. And she's like, yeah, it's probably gonna hurt a little bit. And I remember like when she like had me do an ice pack and lidocaine, and she's like, can you feel it? Is it numb? And I'm like, I put my hand on her, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I can't feel anything. And then she goes to give me that shot, and I remember when she pushed me, like my feet kicked up, and I didn't even mean to. And
Oh,
she's like, this might burn a little bit. And I just remember, like, the first thing that popped in my head is um, like, this is how bad I want to be clean. Like, I'm taking a shot in my stomach that hurts like hell, and it's burning, but like, within an hour of me getting that shot, um, I wasn't withdrawing. I didn't even think about it. I still like I think I've thought about like getting high like maybe two or three times. And instantly like I just think something like I'm like I hear my sponsor in the back of my head or like I'll immediately go to a meeting or something like that. Like that's something I never did before. But it was weird because like within an hour, like I didn't have any withdrawal symptoms, and like for some people that doesn't work. You know, like some people have to have maintenance, like Suboxone or Subutex. But the one thing that the nurse was telling me is that like when you get that shot, like you can't get high, and that was not something that I was really concerned with. But uh, I remember like being at home and people like and even since I've gotten out, people complain about like being on Subutex or Suboxone and stuff, and I tell them like all you have to have is like one dose of Suboxone, or I don't think it matters if it's Suboxone or Subutex. You just have to have one dose in your system, and you can have more than one dose, but that's all it takes to have to get this Sublocade shot. And so I tell people like you don't want to be on Suboxone, you don't want to do Subutex, like get the Sublocade shot. The only issue I really had with it was like the first week I was at home, and I think that was more so like because I wasn't in detox getting meds to sleep. I just had issues sleeping. But other than that, like it was a night and day difference. Like I literally cannot think of a time where I wasn't doing drugs or I wasn't on Suboxone or Subutex and I didn't want to get high. Like, and it was I tell people left and right when they ask about it. I don't know anything about good control, but I assume it's kind of like the same thing, but you don't have to wait the 2 weeks. And I know for a lot of people, like that 2 weeks can be a big factor in like whether or not you go back out and use.
Oh, yeah, and so I guess the big difference between taking something daily, there's ritual um, to using, and so when you're on a shot, you don't have that daily ritual with taking a pill or doing unwrapping something or there's like a mental part of the addiction
It's like
also.
scheduling, like with methadone. That's like when I tried to do
Yeah.
methadone, that was a reason for me what happened to it.
So I think you just have to work a really strong program. It I think that what you're doing is very admirable. How long does it last in your system?
So I didn't find this out until after I got out of Holman. They say after your first shot, you're supposed to get another one within 7 to 10 days.
Oh.
And I didn't know that until after I got out. And I haven't got my second shot yet. And I thought about it after I ran across that person overdosing, and then I came back here. I remember laying in my bed, and I was just like looking at the roof, and just thinking to myself like I didn't want to get high. I am still like on the fence about getting my second shot, but that's just me and my recovery because I'm like doing meetings and I have my sponsor and I have a grand sponsor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to be involved in the community, and that is, I don't want to say sufficient, but uh, that's how I'm pursuing my recovery. For some people, you know what I mean? They might need to have and they have higher doses than just like 1 month. I think it's like 300 milligrams or something like that. I think they go up to like 900 milligrams. I couldn't imagine getting a 900 milligram shot to save my stomach, but it's something I keep in the back of my mind just in case. But I think that as long as I'm involved, um, that is that's the biggest factor for me in my recovery is because like I realize I like helping people, and I found this out when I was in home, and that's a huge part of my recovery. I still am like uh, trying to figure out what I want to do, but like little stuff like volunteering on Wednesdays and stuff. I told myself like I'm doing that every Wednesday. I try to get to meetings early to help out somehow. Sometimes if I don't know the meeting, like I'll try and just show up and like meet people. There's a couple meetings I'm going to already. Like I have a female I was talking to about my fourth step, and she came up to me after a meeting last night and was like, "How's your fourth step going?" And I was like, it was like weird having somebody come up to me like that. But then it's like it's nice to know that like you just reach out and people are willing to like just even if they don't know you, just check up on you.
Mm-hmm. That's the amazing thing about the recovery community because it is a community and there's a really unique communication between two addicts. And, I'll always say, like, it doesn't matter if you've got a PhD or, you went to college for this subject. If you haven't lived it, you don't know. And so that's where I always reference to the clients to design the program and talk to the other clients with that peer support, because you guys know what it feels like, where I don't. I'm asking you questions, and um, I have no idea what any of that would feel like. I have some experience with the Suboxone stuff because of my ex-husband is still on it, but that, I mean, it's a hell of a drug. And we're going to have an episode about just that medically assisted treatment. So I might have to bring you back in on that one. But, you know, it almost seems as though you're past the physical part of it, and that it's almost kind of mental, like a placebo. Like, what if that is actually gotten out of your system and now you are just working a really strong program?
I've been doing a little bit of research on it, and you're supposed to, like I said, you gotta get the first one, and then when a nurse came and talked to me, she said, "Yeah, you're supposed to get another one within 7 to 10 days," and I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "Done with research. That is true," and then you get your second one after 30 days or something like that. But like I try to keep it in my mind, like I'm at the point now where like if I went out and tried to go get high, I would probably overdose, just
True.
because it is. But that's where like I recognized back that like I was blessed with like my sponsor. He came and did a meeting in Holman, and I asked him a question, and like it really like um it switched to my mindset like 180 degrees on some stuff. Like grief and sorrow was like a big reason on why I use. And I asked him, and he pretty much told me like I'll never forget this. Um, I asked him about grief and loss, and he goes, "Well, I don't want to sound like an asshole when I say this, but you're being selfish." And then he like explained himself after that, and I had people coming up to me, staff members and other clients, like, "That was really rude. I can't believe you said that." And I'm like, "No, like that was no, that was a home run. That's exactly what I needed to hear." And then I got here, and I go to an NA meeting, and he's sitting 5 feet away from me. And my another friend of mine, he's like looking over at me, and he's like, "Can you sponsor him?" He's like pointing at the guy behind him sitting there, and I'm already looking at him, and then he raises his hand to be a sponsor. And so he comes up to me after the meeting and said, "Can you sponsor?" I'm like, "I don't know if you remember me or not, but I was at Holman and I asked you about grief and stuff." He's like, "Oh yeah." So
I'm the guy that you called selfish.
yeah, and he was like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that." And I'm like, "No, that is exactly what I needed to hear." And I'm like, that strengthened my recovery. And then so I went to a couple meetings with him, and he had to go out of town, but I'm like talking to him now because I didn't have a phone when I first got out and stuff. And he's the first like, and I feel weird saying this too. I said this in a meeting the other day. He's the first grown man. I haven't even known him for a month, and he told me like, you know, you you deserve love, you deserve respect, you deserve dignity, like all these things that like I never had any grown man tell me that if he would have said that to me when I was using, I'd have been like, "Get away from me, you weirdo." And then like hearing him say it and like looking and knowing like he's completely sincere about it, um, like like I'm blessed to have that. And I brought that up in a meeting the other day, and I had a couple people come up to me like, "I wish I had a sponsor like that." And I'm like, "Well, I don't want to throw my sponsor under the bus and just have like a whole bunch of people that need sponsors like bum rush him." But I told him I would ask him and stuff, and but he's like it's like weird. I think about it all the time. I have like a grand sponsor now. Like I have a whole lineage, which like I've known about that before, and I was always like, "Oh yeah, fucking nerds." Like, or like people say, "This is a cult," and it's not. It's a blessing. It's all about like you take what you need to leave the rest. Like, and I don't think people realize how many different kinds of recovery there is out there too. Not just like the anonymous meetings. Yeah, there's like red road to sobriety. There's smart recovery. There's rational recovery. All kinds of different stuff. But like a lot of people just get clean and they're like, "Oh shit, I got to do a 12-step meeting," and it's like if that doesn't work for you. There's other programs of recovery that like yeah, it's all just about like what your fit is. Like, I mean, I know about rational recovery and I smart recovery. I like there's a lot I did well variety one time when I got clean, but like right now at least, 12 steps are working for me. Like I've run into friends of mine I haven't seen in years, and they're like, you know, not expecting me to come into the room, and then they see me, and they're like, dude, you look like you're not dead. Like, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. And like it's
And so you had been in and out of detox and treatment previously. Had you ever done your steps before?
um, I had done uh, I hadn't done my steps honestly. Like I'm doing them honestly this time, and
Hmm.
uh,
It's amazing the difference, right?
yeah, I was really struggling with my fourth step because a lot of people get twisted up on like the God and the higher power part, and people think like it's like Jesus Christ and God, and like that's I mean I have whatever somebody's religious choices, that's up to them. Um, but I think people get twisted up on that too much, and I always hear it get brought up in meetings and stuff, and it's like I remember being at treatment one time and the counselor was saying like your higher power can be whatever you want to be. It could be the wind, it could be a doorknob. And like I always remember like, every time I think about that, I'm like a doorknob. I'm like, that's kind of a dumb higher power. And then I'm like, well, no, that's what somebody wants to be their higher power. It's up to them. I know some people that have other people as their higher power. For me, I can't do that. Like I know people are I think the word's fallible. Like nobody's perfect. People always make mistakes and I can't put my recovery on somebody else. I don't. I think it works better. Like uh, I know a girl who's higher powered is her dad, but he passed away a couple years ago, and I think that could work for some people. But like for me, like, and I know a lot of people that do this. My higher power is just like it is no coincidence that I made it this far. Like, and I haven't overdosed. I don't have any felonies. You know what I mean? Like, I have been blessed with not getting like tore the fuck up for as much like shit as I've done. Like and I know not everybody's blessed like that, but like a higher power gives you whatever you want. And I mean like whatever you want. But people I know me personally, I know a lot of my friends that have gone clean and they're just like they get turned off by the 12 steps because it's like, admitting to God you're powerless. As soon as they hear God, they're like, nope, come out.
Yeah. Well, it's basically just getting out of the driver's seat, and it takes the pressure off of us having to make every decision and just kind of, we could get into like a go with the flow or, allow the universe to take over. But then, as much as anybody denies that there is a higher power or, something else at play, all the addicts I know talk about these God shots, these moments where, like they were sitting on the bus and they were about to go back to the trap. And then they suddenly had this inclination to get off. And the first person they run into is somebody in the program that gets them to detox. It's like, in that moment, these small moments. And then on Christmas, the day that we choose to celebrate the birth of Christ, you're given death in a bag and said Merry Christmas, and it just hit your
Yeah.
soul. You're like yuck, and that's how I got sober. It was just a yuck feeling. It wasn't crashing my car. It wasn't getting a DUI. It wasn't all the
Any
wreckage I caused.
bliss or
It was
things that
exactly. It was a moment where I woke up spiritually shredded, and I was like, I cannot live like this anymore. And I just that was the moment. That whenever the light switch has to click for somebody, the problem we have now is that the drugs are just so much more powerful, and so like people want to like use one more time or like try to dabble, but it kills them. They don't get that oopsie poopsie try again.
yeah.
It's like you're done. And then that's where it's extra hard for me to you know have to evict anybody from this program if somebody uses, because I just don't know if I'm ever going to see him again. But yeah, I like where you're sitting now, and I can feel your authenticity. And one of the things that really touched me, what you were saying about your sponsor as a positive male role model, because that is also a very common theme with most of the men, is they did not have a positive male role model in their life. And it is what it is. But now you guys become that.
Yeah,
You
that's
are now
what
the
I tell you,
positive
like,
male role model.
people, if they go to a 12-step meeting, they'll tell you, like, you gotta share what you get. Like, you can't just get stuff and keep it because, like, then you're being selfish. You're not trying to help other people. And, I've done the 12 steps before, but like I said, I wasn't honest in it. This time around, I've been like, talked to my sponsor, talked to my grand sponsor, and like for the fourth step, like I thought I was like messing up because it's like resentments and like harms you've done to people and fears. And like the fears part, yeah, give me I'll Google fears and I can go down the list and ding 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 ding. Um, but like with the resentments part, I was like I have like resentments against God. And my sponsor's like, dude, I was number one on my list. And like I had been like dreading even asking him for like a week, and he's like, no, he's like, That's understandable. And then like people don't, um, at least from people I've talked to, I've had people say they don't believe in God, but then turn around and tell me that they have resentments to God, and I'm like, how do you have resentments against something that you don't believe in? Like, and they're like, and I've had one person where it was like, uh, educational kind of
There, my first over there.
like a like an educational conversation, but everybody else just want to turn into an argument, and it's like uh, I realize like people like make things way more than they need to be, um, like arguing over something like that. You know what I mean? Like it's and
Sorry, throw these out the door to Josh real quick. Sorry, technical difficulties. One moment, please. Josh.
but yeah, and it's like my sponsor always tells me it's like just let go and let God. If I have issues with something, like I'm not a prayer. I don't have a hard time like getting down on my knees and putting my hands together and trying to talk to something that I can't see or like can't touch or whatever. But I catch myself like when I'm like looking at the roof and I'll say like like what is it the other night I was like really struggling with my four step and I'm like when I was saying like God show me a path. Uh, and then like 15 minutes later, I'm like thinking to myself, like, why don't I just text my sponsor? And like that stuff that like, and I don't. If you would have asked me about that like 2 months ago, I would have said, no, dude, I don't believe that.
Well,
I
how
don't
do you
do
know
that.
that voice in your head that said call your sponsor isn't your higher self?
Yeah, exactly. And
And
it's
so I also put like higher self and higher power and God, not to say that I am God, but it's the birds on our shoulders, or the angels, and then we also have the devils sometimes speaking in our ear, and sometimes I feel like stories I've heard where people are starting to reach a little bit of sobriety, they start getting a little cocky, and you know, everything's great. All of a sudden, they're tested, and they're tested, and I'm like, it's like a video game. You're walking down the sidewalk, and all of a sudden, out of the bushes, here pops the dealer. I'm like, oh, there's the foil. It's like you gotta just Mario Brothers through it.
it's funny you say that because when that first day I got here, I was telling you how like I got out of home and I didn't have anywhere to go. And then I'd go to Hope and Wellness and like Josh was there, like he was just at home and then I'm like he's sitting there, I'm like calling for places for housing and he's like, hold on a second, he makes a phone call. He's like, all right, come with me. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I just do work at home. And then like at first I'm like, okay, this is a little weird. Like I don't know how I feel about this. And then yeah, and then it like worked out. But like little stuff like that, like I tried to do everything I could at home and they like oh dad off the ball. That's not I mean that's I'm not trying to say that like they are not a good program or anything like that. It was just in my situation things just didn't pan out. I tried to get an extension, I didn't work out, and then I get out and it's like Josh is there and like instead of freaking out and being like, oh fuck it, I'm gonna go get high, I was like, all right, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go down the steps, see what I can do, and things work out. I know I get really breaks my heart because there's like a whole group of us that were there, and we're like, yeah, we get out, we're gonna go hit meetings, and do all this stuff, and like I literally hang out with one person who graduated like pretty much in like the same time zone as me. Nobody else, like even my roommate, who was like, yeah, dude, we're gonna kick it all the time, dude. Doesn't answer my phone calls, nothing, and I'm like, but like I would have, I would have like put myself in a category before if I didn't want to be as clean as I do now. Like I said, I would give up anything. I would cut my own hand off to stay clean like that. And I've never done that before. I like think about, like loss, as you said, grief and sorrow. That's a big thing for me. Um, not that I would ever wish it, but don't think that I would let myself go back out if, regardless of how important somebody was to me, if they passed away. Because like I think about it, and like my mom's already passed away. Like uh, some people that are really close to me that like I look back and I'm like I mean I was selfish. I was being disrespectful to them, and I think my sponsor for that. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But
Great loss and shame.
yeah, I think that especially like being a male, um, that kind of gets downplayed a lot. Especially like I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that stuff from like another grown man before my sponsor said it to me.
Because we're supposed to be so tough.
Yeah, and then when he said it to me, like I always catch myself. I always catch myself thinking about it. Like, man, I'm totally grateful for it. Like I have so much appreciation for him. Uh, but I always try to make sure that like I don't get ahead of myself. And like I got tested the first day I was here when I left to go up to GSHS. I wasn't even 2 blocks away, and I had somebody come up to me and, "Hey, Danny, you know where this would go?" I was like, "Nope, I'm clean." Kept walking by, and then it
They
happened.
knew you?
Yeah, and then it happened to me probably 10 more times on the way up to GSHS, and then I get there, and two of my really good friends are there, and one of them is like, I tell him I just got out of treatment, and he goes to pull some dope out of his pocket, and I like grab his wrist, and I'm like, "No, dude," I said, "I'm clean. I didn't say I want to get high." And then my other buddy that's standing there, he starts asking me, what did you do? Did you go to detox? That kind of stuff. I start talking to him about it, and my first buddy that was like trying to pull dope out in front of me, like just walks off because I'm talking to my other buddy about detox and like going to treatment and this supplicate shot and stuff and like that. It really made me realize, like and people say this a lot in meetings too. Stick with the winners. The winners aren't the same for everybody. Some people just don't. Some people just don't get along. Some people have uh, some people grew up in different environments, or any kind of, I mean, there's any kind of number of things that people like can't, like, you don't just get clean and that stuff goes away.
Right.
Like, yeah, it could be any number of things. Like, I remember when I was growing up, like, I used to be really homophobic. I didn't have any reason for it or nothing like that. I was just, and then, like, I had a friend of mine, he literally told me, like, I don't have anybody I can talk to about this. And he's like, I know you're probably gonna like clown on me a little bit. He's like, but I need to really get this off my chest. And he like came out of the closet to me, and like it. I did make fun of him. He knew that I was gonna do that, but I told him like, yo, dude, you're still my friend. I'm not gonna, you know, what I mean, like, don't let that think otherwise. But like, some people can't do that, or like that's something like I try really hard, um, and I'm still like I always catch myself like thinking about stuff that I should not say out loud, um, but I like think about it because like I don't want to say something like when I was using it, I didn't give a fuck about anybody's feelings. Did not care at all, and now it's like just because I think something doesn't mean I need to say it,
Mm-hmm.
and like little stuff like that. Like, they say progress, not perfection. I always try to make sure that like I'm doing something, even if it's not productive for somebody else. I always try to do something that's productive for me, even if it's like trying to learn a little bit about something every day, or like making sure that one of my friends is okay, just little stuff like that, or like just to make sure that my family knows I'm okay. Little stuff like that. That like I never would have done that when I was using. I didn't give a shit. Like I remember, like I like to look back at pictures of me when I was using, and I was like, oh my god, like I'm not much bigger now than when I was using, but I'm like much healthier looking. Whereas like I look at pictures and I'm like, how did I even like go out public like that? Like I literally look like I'm dying, and then it's like because I didn't care. I had no concern for anything or anybody, and now like I can't say that like I'm out trying to, save the world, but like if I can help somebody, I will. Like, had a couple of my friends asking about treatment and stuff. I'm like, I tell them like, hey, I can't hang out with you if you're using. If you want to go hit a meeting or something, that's cool. If you bring dope out in front of me, I'm gonna walk away from you. If you want information to get into treatment, I can help you with that. But like, I have to be selfish in my recovery. But that doesn't mean like my friend. I was talking about who graduated. And I told her flat out, I was like, I know you're strong in your recovery, and I see like you're going through a lot of stuff. So like, I will step over the boundaries. I said that I would not normally do that for other people, but I do that because like I know how, like I can see how bad somebody else wants it, but sometimes like people want it as bad, but they don't have even just somebody to sit there and put their hand on their shoulder and be like, "Hey, it's okay." I mean, like it's a little rough right now, but that doesn't mean you have to go back out and use. And like that stuff, like that's nothing. I never had that before. Like when I got clean, I always tried to lone wolf it, and now like especially like my friend I'm talking about, like I'll be texting her and like she's been kind of like going through lately, so I always try to make sure like at least once a day I say, "Hey, what's up? You all right? Everything okay?" You know what I mean? Little stuff like that. And I never would have done that for anybody. Like, and like even something little like that, it makes me feel better. Like when I go to the events on Wednesdays, um, the it's like it's weird because I've had a bunch of people come up to me and be like, "Dude, you look so much better." And at first, like I was like, "Okay, you're kind of being weird. Like, don't talk to me like that." And now I'm like it makes me feel good, and I'm like, "Oh, thanks, I appreciate that." Like, you know, and it's like little stuff like that. It's so weird. Or like a like like my sleep schedule. It's just like weird little things like that that like people don't take notice of. Like I don't. When I was using, like I remember times like I would stay up for like insane amounts of time. Like before I went into treatment, I think I slept like maybe 12 or 16 hours that whole month of December. And now it's like if I don't like I try to go to bed at like 8 or 9 o'clock. And like I'm like it's like so weird thinking about that. I still sleep in a little bit later than I should, but it's like I don't wake up and like immediately think like I gotta go get dope. Or like the first couple of days I was here, I was waking up and I was having splitting headaches. And I'd like catch myself like I'd wake up and be like, okay, eat something, drink some water, take a shower, and then like see where I'm at then. And like 9 times out of 10 I would feel better after that. Whereas like if I wasn't clean, the first thing I'm popping into my head is like where's my dope at? Or I gotta go get some dope. Like
What can I find to make me feel better?
yeah, and now it's like I don't have to do that. I don't even take aspirin.
Hmm.
It's,
You'd mentioned a couple of times since you've been sober that there was a couple of moments where you thought about using. Do you remember what triggered those thoughts?
um uh the one that I think uh that is probably one of my biggest issues was like I caught myself like I was just really bored and I didn't really have any reason to be because like I already had some stuff planned that I wanted to go do that was not drug related or anything like that. It was just like I just got in my own head. Like I just was not like I could have been doing anything. I could have opened my phone and played a game. I could have opened my phone and played YouTube or like I made sure yesterday because I got an ID now. Which like I can't even remember the last time I had an ID. I went and got a library card. I checked out like a stack of comics like this big, just so that way I didn't let myself get into that mindset.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
the,
boredom is a relative term because it's almost like kind of like the stagnant part in our brain. But I heard somebody say once that boredom is the last stage to acceptance. So it's like right when we're about to throw in the towel and be like, I can't do this anymore, then it's the breakthrough moment.
oh yes, yeah, I don't think that I don't think that I would say like that's the same for me. I think when it was the boredom thing, like even I think that's still being early in my recovery and like having been used for so long that that's like my automatic fallback. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
I don't have anything to do. No, go get high. And then
Right,
it's
right, right.
like, I'm like, no, go get a library
Yeah.
card, check out some
It is
comics.
amazing that even in this short amount of time, how many patterns are being broken, just shattered over and over again. Like the things you would never think that you'd be doing.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Volunteering at a soup kitchen, checking out library.
Yeah, like I
It's very inspiring, and yeah, you just moved in recently, so I'd like to check in with you again, in a couple of months, and I think you're in a really good spot. So I'm
Slow and
just
steady wins the race.
yeah, yeah. Well, and the fact that you're an inspiration now to others, when people are gonna start reaching out to you and asking, "How did you do that?" That compliment of like, "Whoa, you look way better," because you look like shit before. It's like a lovely compliment. Thanks.
And I think like people don't realize like how shitty they look when they're using like I was like on Facebook today and I made it a point like even after I got my phone I didn't get on my Facebook for like 2 weeks. I just wanted to make sure and then of course when I got on it I'm like looking at my inbox and it's like the first 20 messages are hey you want to get dope, hey you want to get dope, hey you want to get dope and I literally just deleted all the conversations and I just was like, okay, I'm not even gonna do this. I'm not gonna post something on Facebook and say, hey, I'm not doing it just because like you get like you bring something to attention like that, and there's always gonna be people that see shit like that, and they're like, oh, but are they really clean? Like, are they, you know what I mean? And it's like I just didn't want to put myself in that position. But like I look at it now, and like word has gotten around, like through the grapevine. Like I have maybe one or two people messaging me that, and I'm like, no, I'm clean. I'm like, you didn't know, now you do. Tell your friends, tell everybody. Like I'm not getting high. I'm not, you know, what I mean, I'm not doing any of that. Like, and they don't ever respond. They do not ever
Well, and the next time
respond.
they hit you up, it might be for help.
Yeah,
But you
exactly.
know, like it's interesting that the new the phase of new recovery is like boot camp. It's the most painful because not only do we have to look at all the wreckage and all of our feelings in technicolor, we have to go through and feel and remember and fourth step and do all these things and really dig it out. And we're new in our recovery, so in the past our go-to when we weren't feeling quite right would to be to numb out. We don't have that anymore, so now we get to feel all of these things without any buffer.
Yeah, no chemical pillow.
No. And so it is boot camp. Like that first 365 days is the gnarliest time because everything sucks. And sometimes it's even ironic that we get hit with the most traumatic experiences. People are dying or get divorced or, you know, like really shitty things happen. And you can say, like, wow, I made it through that and stayed sober.
I had that happen the second week I was in treatment. I
Yeah.
found out a friend of mine overdosed, and like there's not a it was basically like a foul play kind of situation, and I was like thinking about it when I was in treatment, and like I'm not gonna get into detail on it, but I realized after like a day or two that I was putting more thought into something that I couldn't control on the outside, and than I was putting into myself. And like I think that happens to a lot of people when they go to treatment is like they don't realize like the world keeps going when you're on the outside. Like and if you're really trying to get clean and go to treatment, like don't worry about what's on the outside. Like obviously there's certain situations like you know like people have kids or their parent like you were saying like that. But for the most part I think people get too caught up in like all the stuff that doesn't matter out there. Or they start thinking about their friends that are still using or um just stuff like that. And like the things that matter obviously it varies from person to person, but I think people don't recognize that they're like putting all this energy into stuff that's not important when they're somewhere where they should be focusing on themselves.
Mhm.
Like,
Well, even that though is a really good metaphor because even when we're not in a confined space with support, you know, in a place we cannot leave for 30 days, we're safe there, right? It's a metaphor for when in just in life, that anything outside of here doesn't really matter. I don't have to internalize what you're going through. You know, I don't have to take on all of this stuff that I'm worried about or the posts I see on Facebook or all the things that I could, you know, be upset on. It's yeah, sobriety is definitely a test of mental control and knowing our capacity and what we need to um, what problems are our own. um,
definitely.
so
Yeah.
yeah, and
It's
I'm
a
still working
learning.
on it.
It's a learning process.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in treatment too. There was. I don't remember what this girl was talking about, but she was basically comparing sobriety to a race. And like I know I said, slow steady finish the race. That was kind of a bad analogy. What I said when we were talking about these things, I was like, yo, you can still be behind somebody and be ahead of them. And like I remember hearing something about that wasn't those exact words last night in a meeting, and this lady was talking about how like people with years and years of sobriety will go out and not necessarily they don't even use, but they're out of the program for a little bit, and then they come back into the program and they're worse off than when they left, and they didn't even go out and use.
Mm,
And it's like it's all about like
spiritual
yeah,
fitness.
spirit, exactly, spiritual fitness, and like spirituality is not religion. Like you don't have to go to church every Sunday to have spirituality, and that is like I don't remember the exact definition of it, but like that's another thing people get really mixed up on is spirituality and religious. Like you
Mhm,
don't have you can be spiritual and not religious, and you can be religious and not spiritual, and
mhm.
you can be both of them at the same time too. It's just it's all about like I would just say people just need to look up the actual definitions and then go from there because like some people are totally not into religious stuff at all, but they're way into spiritual stuff and vice versa. Like
Right. And then we shouldn't let the God word turn us off from
yeah,
any 12-step programs because they have a lot to offer. So, well,
yes,
right on.
ma'am.
Thank you for doing this interview with me.
Yeah, I was like a little bit nervous about it at first when you were asking about it, and I just see the people
Nah, you
like,
did
"Yeah, I'll do
awesome.
it," and I'm like looking around. Nobody else said anything. I was like, and you looked over at me. I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll do it."
Good.
Uh,
This is great. All right. Well, if you want to support Courage to Change, please log on to ctcrecovery.org and hit the donate now. Talk to you soon.